Breathe right.
Hello.
You're live.
Hello. We're live.
And we're
You're
really prepared and
here.
ready today. Yes.
So prepared.
So prepared.
As always, you guys, this is what you love about us, right?
Well thought
Because
out.
we're diligent and we're super
Fully
structured
dressed before the show.
with our teeth brushed.
Hair is brushed.
Oh,
Can I start on like a kind of horrible note? Is that okay? It's
of
like,
course, we've got the whole show to take it up.
we're gonna start low and then we're gonna go high.
It's great. It's like, well, that's a good place actually. Like the expectations can be real low then. So go ahead.
So I woke up to a text message this morning from my kid's school district that there's no school today because of the viral TikTok threats.
I heard something about this yesterday.
Hmm.
So they canceled school.
They
It's
canceled school.
okay.
Yeah.
This is such a weird. Do you think it's like I don't know. I
Do I
get
think it's
so
legitimate? I don't know.
yeah. I'm like, where like how do these things start? Like who's doing them?
Yeah.
Who are
Well,
the
I mean,
TikTok people?
I don't know. But it's not just on TikTok, it's also on Snapchat apparently. Because my kids were like,
Oh.
I think it was started on TikTok, but then it moved to Snapchat. Um, Yeah, I just don't remember school ever being closed for anything other than really bad snow. Like,
Right. Well, yeah, that's one of those things that's like can just bring me real low real quick because I'm like, man, are these the times that we're living in? It's just I don't even
my
know how to process
bestie is on here, Robin.
it. Oh, yay.
Never on here live, Robin.
You got called
Um,
out.
so anyway, yeah, it's pure insanity. And I feel like our kids have to deal with way more than we ever had to deal with
Mhm.
before,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah, I totally agree. I feel like this generation is like, how do we even raise them? Because I don't even know how to, as an adult, process these things.
I know, I know. Robin says,
Yeah.
"Nice to meet you." Robin's actually a police officer in Canada, so she deals with this stuff all the time. And for the people who don't know what we're talking about, there were viral threats on TikTok yesterday about school shootings. It's like I guess all week long there have been threats. Like December 17th is the day, and most of the threats were just general, right? They weren't targeting a specific school, but then I guess last night our school had a targeted threat overnight
Mm,
or something. I don't know. Um, but it's hard because they don't know where it's coming from or if it's legitimate or whatever. So
yeah,
yeah,
and you have to respond in some way. So, I mean, I guess it makes sense. That's crazy, though.
there were a lot of parents who were planning on not sending their kids to school today.
Yeah, I was kind of seeing that going around on Facebook too.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the low note that we're starting on.
Yeah, that's
But hey, I get my kids home for the day, and that's always fun when you work from home.
so, Jess. Um, and I've lost track of time. I think it's been a week.
It's Friday.
I no, I know, but like, when did I start this? I think it's been a week. Last week. So we don't do school on Fridays.
Right, you have no
I
school
homeschool my
Friday.
kids. We don't do school on Fridays. The idea was to go on field trips on Fridays, but we haven't done a lot of that yet. so so I don't know. For right now, it's like no school. But last Wednesday, I was like, man, forget this. We're taking Christmas vacation now. So we're taking like a 4-week Christmas vacation.
I think that's great. I
I'm
mean, there's not a lot of learning that gets done around the holidays anyway, in
yeah.
my personal opinion. Sitting and
Mhm.
watching a video in every single class you go into is not exactly learning. It's babysitting, which is, believe me, I'm very grateful for it.
Right.
But I don't like, and we've talked about this a lot on this show
Mhm.
before. When you're homeschooling, you don't have to have as many hours in the classroom as you do when
Mhm.
you're in person, going to like regular public school,
Right.
because a lot of school is crowd control.
Crowd control, corral the cats.
Right.
Like,
I mean, and dealing with other things that come up, like, threats against the school. Like, as a
right.
homeschooling parent, you don't have to deal with that. So that, I mean, that
Right.
takes, way less time. The actual education part of school is much shorter than the
Right.
amount of school.
Right. Yeah. So we're learning other things, which all revolve around house organization, which you will so love.
Are you baking also? I feel like there's a lot when my kids were younger and we were home a lot around the holidays because they were in private school and they had these massively long Christmas breaks.
Mhm.
Um, we did a lot of baking. There's a lot of baking.
Yeah, there was intention to do a lot of baking, but we haven't done a lot of it yet. I think next week is going to be the week for a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know what I like? Here's a little hack, Allison. Instead
please
of
tell
doing
me.
the gingerbread houses like in the kit, you can
Mhm.
actually make gingerbread houses out of um uh no. You make the royal icing and
Oh,
graham crackers.
graham
So we
crackers.
do a lot of graham cracker houses because it's a little bit more creative, right? You're not
Mhm.
following the box direction, but it's also you don't have to make the gingerbread, so you do the graham crackers instead. And since they're so um, light, they don't like fall down as easily like the royal
Yeah.
icing faster.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about doing that, and we've been we've been as a family watching a lot of the show Lego Masters, so they're all in this building kind of mindset. So I have sort of my own agenda to make a huge thing with graham crackers and icing with them. It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, should we talk about the other topic we were going to talk about today, which
Yes, this is gonna be such a good topic because I think we have very different perspectives, so I think it's
we
gonna be
do.
great.
We
Yeah.
totally, totally do. I feel like yours is right, even though a perspective can't be right. But if you're following this and you want a perspective on the next thing we're going to talk about, you should take Allison's. It's way more positive than mine is. You
So why
want to
don't you
talk
give a little
what's
I was gonna say, do you wanna give a little introduction, or was that about what you were about to say to me?
I was going to say, do you want to talk about the horrifying study that I shared with you that prompted this conversation?
Oh my gosh. So so, correct me if I say anything that wasn't accurate, but my understanding of it is there was this study that was done, and I saw this briefly, but honestly, the picture itself, I can't look at this.
Right. So just a heads up, we're going to talk about animal cruelty in the name of
Yeah.
science in the next 30 seconds. So if that is going to upset you, mute us and then come back.
Yes. Yes. It's, very
But it's part
so
of a bigger topic, which is really a fascinating topic.
which is what we're gonna dive into today,
We're
and I
going
think
to keep
it's
building
good.
this up and not actually say what it is.
So there's this study. Were they rats or were they mice?
They were rats
There were rats. There was a study done to basically see how long a rat will tread water. And they put them in water and
before giving up and drowning.
before giving up and drowning. So they put them in water and so initially they let them do it for a while and then they pulled them out, correct?
No, initially
No.
they did it to see how long they would tread water for and then let them drown. So they needed like to know
Oh,
how long they needed the period of time first.
mhm.
So that's the horrifying part of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's I think I misunderstood how you sent it to me then. So I thought that
Well,
initially they thought that they were going like there was an initial like rescue.
so here's also the problem. I looked up the original study because I
Mhm.
saw this as a Facebook post, right? And I'm like,
Mhm.
is this real? Did this really happen?
Mhm.
So then I looked up the original study, and I think there have been I believe the study was done in many different ways, but there was definitely rat drowning involved.
Mhm. Yeah. So it turns out that if you ha- in the instance of the rats, if they believed that they would be rescued from this situation, they could tread the water for an insane amount of time. The
Right.
thought
So when
the
they
yes.
didn't when they just were put into the water and let to drown, they only treaded water for like 15 minutes.
Mhm.
But then when they were removed from the water right before they were going to drown and then put back into the water, they treaded water for like a day or so. I mean, it was like an
I think
obscenely
it was like
amount of
60
time.
hours.
Yeah, right. It was like
Yeah.
really, really, really long.
Yeah.
So the point of the study was that when the rats had hope, they were able to go for much longer. They were
Mhm.
able to find something. Now, I in this is like deep rat psychology here or something. But anyway, it was like a motivational post on Facebook. Like, if you have hope, you can survive and withstand a lot more and push yourself a lot further than you ever thought possible. Right. So that's like so I sent this to Alice and I'm like, ooh, let's talk about this tomorrow.
So here's my question. When they treaded water for 60 hours, did they then drown?
Allison, that was not included in the actual, like, I hope not. Right. I mean, I hope they were
How did
fed,
they how did they
bathed.
have that control time? Like, that's what made me
Oh,
cringe so hard about that,
mhm.
because I was like, "So are you selling us hope as a motivational action, but then they die anyway? Like, what's the purpose here?" Because and this is what really spawned my side of this whole that perspective that we'll talk about. Because if the idea is hope
If
is
we're
like
proving hope with, like, by killing an animal.
well, no, if the idea is like you just have to generate this concept of hope. What are you basing it on? Because if in the end there's nothing being based on, there is no rescue, there is no like you're coming out of this situation, then it's all just a fabrication anyway.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
And it's a tiring fabrication.
Right.
Like, if you knew well, if you had no hope, then the rats would have just stopped swimming after, like, 15 minutes.
Right. This is extremely philosophical, and you've brought out the philosopher in me. So,
Well, is all hope a fabrication? Is that where you're going with this?
well, this is where I want to know your perspective, because I think if hope is a fabrication, I'm done. And I've always been this way. I've always been like, I I I I really get big picture, like big scope of everything. What is the point of it all? I'm not kidding when I tell you I'm a philosopher. And I'm also very, very skeptical at the root of everything. So I
I am a
question
master skeptic.
yeah, so I
I don't believe
question
anything.
everything. But it also drives me to like really dive into things and understand things more, and like see what's out there and have an understanding to create some like connect myself with the reality of what is, because if the reality of what is literally there's nothing, I see no point in this. So there's my
Well, I
there's
mean,
my low end of this.
okay, so if you're just joining us, the topic is hope. And Allison and I are really trying to understand hope. So I am, and Allison knows this from way, way, way back. I am not somebody that has a lot of hope. I'd say it's a feeling I'm not familiar with. Like, what are we hoping for? I don't know. I do have now. Well, I do have a lot of depression, which may be connected to the hope, um, or lack of hope. I do have a lot of excitement. I feel a lot of excitement about life when, like, and as I was thinking through this hope situation, I wondered, do I need hope if I can feel excited, right, about the future? Maybe that is hope. I don't know. I have a hard time understanding hope. But I've
Mm,
also been told by many people that I've given them hope about their homes and so that's interesting to me also, because I'm not somebody who's fully comfortable or understanding of hope. But I never really thought about it until I started hanging out with Allison. So all my
and then
hopelessness
I
came
ask you
in.
lots of questions and you're like, "What?" So my perspective is hope requires an object to hope in, or a subject to, it requires like something
A thing, right? What's the
to
thing?
have a because my belief is that hope is a trust. It's all about trust. Like if you're going to hope in something, there has to be some kind of thing that you're finding a solid ground in, something that you can trust in. So if you're going to have hope within a relationship, there has to be a trust of um, there's safety here, there's movement together here towards a betterment. It's for me, hope is like a trust and a moving towards a better place or a better thing. And I think that so you can have that in this current life. Like I have hope that it's possible that my living space can be an environment that I want to be in. Like I and in this like dimension, I guess you could say, you can have hope towards betterment because I think that's what all of us like I think that's part of our DNA is that we all want to move towards those things. So my perspective also is that there has to be more than this dimension because otherwise this dimension doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, hopefully you're right. So, but my question to you, Allison, is why have hope when you can have knowledge, right? So, if I feel very secure that whatever relationships I'm in and whatever um, things I'm embarking on are going in a positive direction, then I don't need hope. I because I trust in myself. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, so if you have trust, do you need hope, or do you have to have hope until you have trust?
I think of trust as like it's like it's like the space in which hope has to dwell. So what would
I like
be
that. Hold on, you guys should write that down. Trust is the space in which hope has to dwell.
yeah,
Is that what you just
because
said?
because otherwise what else like it has to be grounded and rooted to something. So what would it be rooted to if like you're trusting in yourself? I mean I believe that this is part of the picture. It's a whole big picture with a lot of little pieces. So everything that I coach on with people has so much to do with this trust that you build within yourself because we're really not conditioned to. So it's something that you can build back and um it's such a crucial element of it, but it's also like in some ways there's one more layer to that. Because if all I'm coming back to is trust in myself, that still feels a little bit like loose in the wind. Like I still need something for that to kind of land on.
See, and for me, like, trust in myself is like, that's it. Like, that's all that I need. Like, everything
Mhm.
else falls away then.
Mhm. Okay. What about like I guess where does the breakdown for me in that is that ultimately like I have no control over the way in which life goes and life happens. Like, I don't know when I'm going to die. I didn't have any control over when I was born. So these things that are very like, you know, I have to trust in some kind of goodness. Otherwise, I just think like I'm just like what am I? I'm just like this vapor.
Wait, yeah, so you have to have trust, but what about hope? Where does hope fit into that?
So hope fits into so my hope fits into my trust in a bigger presence of good and love, like ultimate good and ultimate love. That is holding all the things, that is always moving things towards better. And you can call this the universe, you can call this God, you can call this source. I tend to think that like we're talking about the same things.
Yeah, I think
It's
so
a
too.
personal presence. I believe it's a personal presence. So I believe it's a personal presence that is ultimately good and ultimate love. And I can relax. Like I don't have to worry about um I don't have to worry about the way in which things happen to me. I don't have to hold anything tightly because I have hope in an ultimate good source that's working for me.
But is it hope or is it trust or knowledge? I mean, hope to me seems like so open-ended, like, I just hope this is gonna happen, but, like, I
Mm,
feel like what you're saying is that you, like, deeply believe this, like, and
mhm,
belief is beyond hope. Like, those rats, did they believe and have trust that somebody was gonna save them, or were they just hanging on to a thin strand of hope and had no idea? I mean, we don't know, obviously,
mhm, mhm,
but, like, I think that I think that trust and belief go much further than hope.
mm. I wonder if we're saying some of the same things.
Well, I think we are, but we're, like we're OEDing the, whatever out of this.
But the hope element is, I guess, like, if you were to,
Why do you need hope if you have trust? Like, that's my big question.
maybe it's the same. Well, how would you describe, like, maybe we need to get to a better definition of hope.
Okay, should we open up a dictionary?
Yes.
Juliana
We should
is already
absolutely
she's
open up a dictionary.
she's already Googling this for us. Alright, can somebody pop the definition of hope, trust, and belief into the comments?
I do think we use hope flippantly. Like,
I
"Oh, I
do
hope so, and I hope that works out," and it's kind of this, like, I don't know, I guess it depends on, words are so funny because it's like, if you were to take out the words and just think of this emotively, how would we be describing it? Because
right.
sometimes words themselves can get us, like, in a tangle, like, "What are we doing here? What are we trying
Here's
to do?"
this is try this one on.
Okay.
I totally understand and feel hopeless way more than I feel hope. I feel trust, but I also will equally feel hopelessness about things.
So
So,
maybe that's a good starting point.
yeah,
What
hopelessness,
what is the hopelessness in reference to?
everything. I both trust in an amazing future and feel hopeless about the amazing future. I think it's, like, very confusing in my head. Alright,
Yeah.
we have some in the comments, we do have some definitions pouring in here. Okay, and I believe that this is Denise, maybe? I think Denise is our Facebook user. I could be wrong, but if it is Denise, thank you. Whoever it is, thank you for looking this up. Hope, a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. Okay, so there you go. Very specific thing. Like, I hope this is gonna happen. And that's, like, when we're talking about, like, universal type things, that seems like way too big for the word hope.
Mm, I
Oh,
get
it's
what you're saying.
Wendy. Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy. Trust is firm belief in the character, strength, or truth of someone or something. He placed his trust in me. Okay, okay. So,
And belief is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists.
okay. Feeling of
So hope is
expectation and
specific.
desire.
Trust is a belief in the character, strength, or truth of someone or something.
Mhm.
Belief, an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists.
So
I think
when
people hope their beliefs are true. I mean, right?
Uh-huh.
You either
Yeah,
hope your belief is true or you trust your belief is true.
right.
You
Yeah,
need more to survive, hope or trust.
yeah. Feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. It can be used so many different ways, this word. So I feel like I'm getting a little bit murky in, like, how are we using it? And if
Well, I
you're
think we're overusing it, right?
Mhm, mhm. 'Cause I'm super curious about just the feeling of hopelessness that you experience, and, like, if we could get more specific on that, maybe we could navigate that a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, the feeling of hopelessness that my depression has been linked to is just that it does nothing matters, right? Like that, like it really, you're like just a speck and none of it matters. And, which
Mhm.
is, I have this like strong dichotomy because I also really believe that a lot of things matter a lot.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, but this is also part of, depression is that it's like for me, it's like a switch. Like I'm either like, luckily 90% of the time I'm in that good spot where things really matter and, or, I'm excited and whatever. 10% of the time I'm in that low spot where it's like totally hopeless. And so I don't know. I mean, that's like a mental health issue, probably.
No, that's just like your brain being a human.
Well,
Because our feelings always come from our thoughts.
right.
So if it's coming from the thoughts of like, if when it makes that switch and it moves into the thought of like nothing matters and like everything is pointless, that's just it's just a very common place for our brain to go, because the if we're again me, and maybe this isn't you, but maybe for me it's always like goes to the real big picture. So like nothing matters sounds like huge big picture to me. Like, are we talking about
Right.
life? Are we talking about my life? Are we talking about the world? Are we talking about the space of time that the entire universe is in? Like that's where I go. So
Yeah, no, that's where I go too.
yeah. Yeah. So for me, whenever I move to that place in my brain, then I come back to a grounding in I believe there's a bigger presence outside of all this that is working it for a direction of good, and it's to benefit me as well. And that moves my thoughts into a space of trust. I can trust in that, which then gives me like a way to feel some kind of hope. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, that really does make sense. Um, it's not the direction that I go,
Hmm.
but it totally makes sense. I
Yeah.
mean,
If I didn't have that, I would be talking exactly how you're talking, because I do go into those places regularly. I mean, I regularly do that where it's like all of this is deadness, all this is emptiness. Like, I mean, I do that, but I wouldn't. I guess it gives me like a different set of thoughts to look at, which changes the way I'm feeling in my system. And if I didn't have those different set of thoughts to look at, then I would be like, just, I don't know what I would do. I would probably stay in that space most of the time.
well, I mean, the way that my thought patterns typically run is, you know, I don't think about this bigger picture and like the bigger reason and the bigger all of this stuff because it gets too overwhelming for me. But then I do get to a point where I convince myself that while I sort out that stuff, in the meantime, might as well make the best of being here right now, right? Like
Mhm.
whether or not I have hope in a greater, bigger thing doesn't matter because I still have this stuff here that I can do
Mhm.
my best, like my best, I can make it the best that I can, right? So
Mhm. I get that.
in the meantime,
Mhm.
hope aside, I can trust that I'm gonna still go out of my way to make this really good when I'm the 90% of the time that my brain is functioning in that space.
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, so it's just like you move yourself out of that space when it's like, okay, the set of thoughts you turn to is I'm not going to solve this. This isn't for me to solve right now. But right over here, I can have this really amazing existence.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay, so Robin says, "Do we not sometimes get consumed by the noise and have to ground ourselves to come back to the reality?" Yeah, maybe that is what it is. The noise, like you're just consumed by the noise and you dwell in
Mhm.
it and then gotta pull yourself back because this is what's happening right now.
And we do have like all of us have specific kind of wirings inside of us that have make us have tendencies towards one thing or another. And the one space of like really thinking deeply and often about these huge big unknown answers in life, in all of existence, some people do have that. I'm starting to work in human design, and so I think I have this also. Not everybody does, so it would make sense why it's a place where you have a tendency to kind of fall back into, and I get that space also. And our brain doesn't like unknowns, and that's the biggest unknown that there is.
I just booked a consultation for a human design thing.
Yeah. Oh,
So
we're gonna have so much fun stuff to talk about. Oh, yay.
Do you want to share what human design is?
So human design, oh, I
Oh
don't
god,
even,
it's like this whole thing
it's
that
a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I mean, I feel like it's like next level for like personality kinds of tests and things that you do. But
right, it totally is. Yeah.
mhm. But it brings in some astrology and some like what was the energy of the planetary system when you were born and like how that fits into how you were made and stuff. So it's this whole graph basically on your body that tells you um, information about yourself. Like and the most broad spectrum part about it is that you have all these spaces, like you have your mind space and you have your heart space and your identity space and a sacral and solar plexus and all these areas. And within these areas, if it's defined, meaning it's filled in, then you have a very specific energy in that area. Like that's your energy to kind of put out into the world. And if it's open or empty, that is places where you've been very susceptible to conditioning. So people telling you what you should feel, people telling you what you should think about yourself, people telling you what you should do, all those kinds of stuff. I have like almost all empty spaces. I have, which which everything makes sense now about my life.
A lot of conditioning.
Yeah, so much conditioning. But once you decondition those things, it's actually super magical because you're one of the people that are able to see all the things in that area. Like you don't have just a specific energy that you're moving in. You're actually able to hold like all the energies. It requires a lot of like energetic boundaries of yourself too. So that's a lot of the process. But
You're one person who I know that, and this is like, I'm just gonna throw this out there, who is religious and also, energetic. Like, you bring the 2 together. Um,
uh-huh.
most I find that most people are on one like, are either see the world like, to see their energy through their religion and their beliefs, or
Mhm.
kind of don't pay attention to any religion and are all about like spirituality and energy and all like it seems to be a divide. In my mind, I
Mhm.
see it all very much together, and I think so do you, which is
Mhm.
fascinating.
Well, it's a newer development for me because I grew up really conservative Christian, and um, the thing that I didn't have any grasp on was that I worked so much within my thoughts in that structure, and my feelings are really like I am a deep feeler, and I couldn't make sense of so many things with that just in like the way that I was given the information before. Not that there was anything like wrong or bad or like there was nothing like that. It was just like how I personally interacted with that information had so much like processing it, like problems with it. So then when I learned a lot more, therapy taught me feelings, right? But then coaching taught me like how you bring all of it together and how you really take ownership of all of it. So I lean hard into my feelings, and I have noticed, especially like learning all these things as it just keeps getting more and more expansive in what I'm learning. But the energy stuff, it just makes so much sense to me, and it all like fits together. It's just how you're picturing like the illustrations you have in your mind and the way you see things is so it's so unique to each of our own experience. And so I've really let myself see my experience and like look at the information in this very I'm an artist too, so I really need to see things and picture it. And once I moved out of this space of being like life is linear and it looks like this and you go here to here to here to here and then it's this, once I finally was like forget that, like come into this space where I can feel all the pieces of life and how they work inside of me and how they're working inside of other people and what my ownership is. And so that's kind of just like how a lot of it's come together.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's beautiful. I mean, I always see the connection between all of it. Like it's just different labels that we put on everything, right?
Mhm.
Like, and if you can let go of those labels, which are very conditioned into us,
Mhm.
you can see the you I think that you can see how like there's a lot of parallels between different belief systems and
Mhm.
all of that.
Yeah, and I think that it's kind of like I think labels are really helpful. Like when I first just as an example, when I first got into therapy, I started learning all these labels like gaslighting and narcissist and I was like, oh my gosh, codependency, that my life makes sense now. So I think it's really useful to kind of be like, oh, this is data. This is like information of how I can see this thing so I can separate. And I didn't know totally understand it before. But then you can get to a point where you're like, I don't have to just go back to the labels. It's almost like I really like using the idea of like, if we were to just scratch the words right now, how would this like emotively work inside of me? Like, how am I relating to this? Because that's like the spiritual side, right? That's where it doesn't have to be so certain and clear and specific with our brain and the words and how we're labeling it all. There's like this layer of that's the energy and the spiritual side that it can be. It's a really, really powerful wisdom space.
Yeah, I totally, totally agree.
Yeah.
I feel like we talked about so much already. We're only 35 minutes in here.
This is my favorite area of conversation.
I know.
I don't know. I have a lot of favorites, but this one I get really passionate about.
Um, can I ask you a personal question?
Of course.
Yeah, I
Always.
asked you that knowing that you were gonna say yes. So when you think about, like, the greater force,
Mhm.
what label do you have for that?
I use God.
Yeah.
I I I I had a hard time with it for a while because I had there was a like a big chunk of my life where um I just I had all these feelings and I didn't understand them. And I understand them now. Now I realize I didn't feel safe with the idea of God. I actually had this point of time where I was purposely trying to create new thoughts that I could put in the direction of God that doesn't have anything to do with like he's this mean monster in the sky. Like it was purposely over. Maybe that's not true. Maybe that's my conditioning. Maybe these are the things that are true. And how would I relate to him, to God if I thought these things? And so I incorporated tapping with it because I remember a few times being like, I could feel the instant like terror that would come into me. And then I would be like, I am safe with God. I am safe with God. And that was really a big turning point for me, actually, because that was like a retraining myself to think I can interact with this person in a way that's maybe more true, most likely more true based on everything I know about just even people and how we interact with each other. If I start looking at it that way, then how would I be in that presence? So for a little while, I used the word love or source, but I'm good again with God.
Go back to
So
God.
yeah, I'm good again with it. But it always felt the same. It always felt like the same. This is the same presence that's here with me, and it's it's one of those things that like it makes everything have a totally different layer to it because I don't feel alone. And I don't believe that it's my imagination. I believe there really is this presence right here with me, and it really is ultimate love.
I agree with you entirely on that.
Mhm, mhm. So funny. I love how we like come in different directions, but like I really think like we feel a lot of the same things.
We do. I don't use the term God very much, but I use the term Mother Earth. That's my, like, connection.
Hmm.
I also prefer, like, the feminine.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting thing because I would have felt so, like, blasphemous to me early in my life to ever consider that, but now, like, I've had a lot of other good, incredible input from theologians, Christian theologians, and it's the thing is, like, from the Christian perspective, man and woman were made in God's image, like, it took 2 sections and types to reflect this one being, which means there is feminine in it, right?
totally.
Mhm. It's just like, yeah, of course. Makes sense now. And one of my first I'll share something like really that was like a really special thing for me. I have a very good friend who uses essential oils to help you create, like she creates custom blends. Um she does like a meet with you to kind of see a lot of your stuff and like what you deal with, and then she creates a custom blend for you, and then that blend is you use it to kind of tap into this very spiritual like experience for yourself. um it's like hacking. She like thinks of it like hacking your system. So she did this for me, and I remember like I used it one time, and I was like, it was at night, all the kids were in bed, I was by myself, I was just like sitting by the window looking outside, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be totally open here. Like what, I'm open to you being here, I'm open to you talking to me, what do you want to say? And at that very moment, my daughter came in. It was like late at night, like she'd already been upstairs for a long time, and because she couldn't sleep, and she came right in and she crawled right up in my lap, and I was like, oh my gosh, God is my mother and wants me to climb right up in his lap. Like I'm using both those things there, but like that was like it was almost like instant, like oh my gosh, like that was so powerful to me. I will never forget that. And so I've used that as a reference point very often of like actually this is what it feels like in this human experience that we have. Like just look at our human experience, right? Like how we are as a parent, how we relate to the people that we love. This is the reflection of like a bigger story of the same. This is what it
Yeah.
looks like. So I find so much tangible stuff, but also like all the connections to all those things all the time. I'm like, yeah, it's this. This is the story.
I love that,
Mhm.
Allison. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
Um, I just wanna let you know that I've invited Robin to come live with us.
Awesome.
So, just a heads up if somebody pops on here.
I'm all for it.
Oh, and my mom is listening. This is like a it's family time.
Wow, this
Hi,
is great.
mom.
Also, I love your coffee mug. That
Oh
is
my
just
gosh,
making
thank
me
you.
so happy.
Me too, it's my favorite one.
It's so beautiful.
Okay, let me just tell Robin what to do here. Just click the link. This is exciting for me because I haven't seen Robin in a very long time.
This
She's
is so fun.
I know.
How long have you known each other?
Okay, so we've known each other for, not that long actually. Like, we've known of each other for a last maybe, like, 10 years, but we've been very good friends for, like, maybe the last 5 years. So Robin and I oh, she has to download Chrome. We, we have, like, this kind of timeshare type thing in
Mhm,
Lake Placid, and she's in the same interval that her family is in the same interval that my family is, so we see each other 4 times a year up until lockdown. So
mhm.
Robin lives in Canada, and the Canadians have been unable to cross the border. So,
Mm,
yes, so that's been very difficult because, like when you meet somebody, like me and
mhm,
you, Allison, right?
mhm,
Like the soul sister type thing.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
so oh, here's Robin. Hold on, I'm adding you to the stream. Hi.
Hello.
I'm sorry, I didn't get to use my computer, so I'm using my phone.
That's okay. Everything's backwards on here, so if you go to the left, you really go right.
Yeah, I'm feeling like, okay, here.
Hi, Robin.
How are you, Allison? It's nice to
I'm
meet you.
good. It's nice to meet you too.
Listening to the two of you, can only bring smiles, I think, because just the energy that you kind of like, it just radiates out, and
Mm.
the giggling. And I always tell Jess all the time, I'll be like you laughing all the time, and then I was just at Home Depot and I was tuned in, and I was like, I need this cable, like 70 meters, come on. And then the guy was like, he knew I was so distracted, and then I was like, life and hope, trust, and I was like,
I love that. Oh my gosh, I love that juxtaposition picture there.
Cable.
In Home Depot doing the life thing, and also like
I didn't know you had Home Depot in Canada.
I can't hear you ladies very well. I don't know if there's something.
Turn your volume up on your phone. Nope, now we can't
did,
see you.
Jess. You smarty pants. Oh, maybe I had too many things open. I don't know what's going on.
You seem louder now.
Oh, I do seem louder. Maybe there was too much noise.
So Allison was asking about our like relationship history, Robin. And I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. You know, when you meet somebody and you like just know that you're like meant to be best friends with them, like
yeah, you know what? Time can pass. And it's like time doesn't pass with my relationship with Jess. And it's like we just pick up and it's like a special connection. So
yeah,
you know, I like her daughters are older than my kids, but like we connect, and you know, they're kind of kids are kind of growing up, right? And we're trying to like adapt to all of what's going on in their lives and demands and expectations, and their, you know, and as a parent, you think, okay, what do I know about TikTok? Or, you know what I mean? I don't talk about TikTok. You know what I mean? And if they consume themselves in it, right?
yeah.
And I'll be like, I don't want to watch that. But then sometimes you have to be like, okay, I'll watch it because it's important to them, right?
Yep. That's right. I just put time limits on my kids' TikTok accounts so that they time out after 20 minutes because
that's
it's
awesome.
too easy to just go boom, boom, boom. I mean, you're there for like hours.
I know. Look at, I ran and I got myself a tea because I wanted to show you guys what I have. Okay. Everything's backwards. Police officer on the go.
Oh, I love it.
That's so cute. Yeah, so Robin's a police officer, which is also super fascinating.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's 20 years now, actually, Allison. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, good for you. That is awesome.
Do you have any insight into the hope and trust and belief as a police officer?
You know, I think that when you're talking about so many divides and we have these perceived barriers, and you know, you have people that are like, yeah, rah rah, and they're really supportive of police and law enforcement, and then there's like a whole other population that, you know, have had probably an experience in their life and it has left them traumatized, and you know, it's trying to, you know, build back trust and peace, that we're not out, it's not personal, like something's happened and we've had to react to it. I have some women that I support. It's like a big sister, and it's a women's group home, and many of the women in there, and they range from their 20s to like into their 60s, but a lot of them have got varying degrees of mental health. Some of them have had some pretty traumatizing experiences within law enforcement because of paths that they have taken in their life. But and it was really by fluke. It was a death investigation, and I was one of the officers to attend for that investigation. And I stayed there like all day and broke down this like massive wall that was up and how they perceived police. And now they are like this one woman, just one girl, she's in adult education. She's trying to graduate. She's from an indigenous background, and she writes an essay about who inspires me most, and it's Sergeant Robin. She refers to me as Sergeant Robin. Oh. And it just, she wrote it to me, and it's an assignment at school, but she sent it to me, and I was like, oh, I was sobbing because I could only feel, like I felt every part of it, like her writing of how important, like, yeah, she's going to be with me forever and ever. And like her perception of it now is like only this way, right? And that is that I'm in her circle. So
I love that you break down barriers with personal interaction. And I think that that's like the biggest thing that's missing from all of the conflict in our world today. You know, it's so easy to just go online and say something horrible, and it's anonymous or semi-anonymous, or to follow one narrative. But when you actually talk to somebody else and have a different experience with an individual, it can change absolutely everything. And I love that that's what you do, Robin. That's incredible.
You have to take time, and I think you get so caught up in, oh my God, we got to go to this call, and then the next call, and then the next call, and you look at like the queue, and it's like, and it's like one domestic after another person in crisis or an emotionally disturbed person call, and it's just, you feel like it's just like you're going from one to the next, and sometimes you need to slow down and you need to help, like you need to stay there and be like, okay, I'm going to listen to what you have to say, and this is how I'm going to help. Because at the end of the day, we are sometimes the only advocates for these people. We are the ones that are going to be there to be able to make change. And I think sometimes we, in my circle of people, forget that about how impactful we are to our community, and just staying there for 5 minutes longer, or just asking them about their life, or, how can we help you? Oh, you can't drive down to the, Center for Addiction and Mental Health? No problem. How about I drive you there? You know what I mean? Like, we're in the driver's seat for so much help and resources. And I think people are crying for resources, and sometimes we're their only avenue to get them that help. And it's trying to change a mindset that, we're not social workers, but heck, we're social workers because that's what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of social issues.
Yeah, police officers deal with a lot more things than I thought. Like when I was growing up, I'm like, oh, you arrest people, like you have like one idea, but like actually, it's like so much bigger than that.
Yeah, and I think hope and trust falls in such. It goes hand in hand, and they hope that, oh, I hope the police are going to treat me okay, and then they trust in us to make the right decision. You know what I mean? It's like, and we're trying to, like, we don't know, we're not in your circle, so it's like, okay, like, am I arresting you, or maybe we're not arresting you today, and we can work through this together. You know what I mean? It's, if the authorities are there, and sometimes we're mandated, but I feel like we have so much discretion that we really need to exercise that. And it's not about just getting a stat. Do you understand? Like, it's more than that. If I could educate you maybe to change, and maybe this is, something that you can do, and I can help you through that, then great, But hope and trust is such a big thing, whether it extends to your personal life or professionally. You, on this capacity that you gals are out there and building hope and trust for so many people.
Don't you love Robin?
I do. Can we be best friends too?
Oh, Jess, can I just take your hair and put it on my head? You have like good hair going today. I told you I didn't look very good. I was like,
I'm freshly showered because I was rushing to get onto this call with Allison.
I know, when it came up on my phone, I was like, ooh, I want to listen.
I love it. I love that thought that people think, ooh, yummy, when you're going to come on. I love that.
I know.
I love your message like about
the show with no name. You don't know what you're going to expect.
You don't know what you're going to expect.
Like, what are we talking about today?
You've gone from like rats drowning to religion to hope and trust.
We covered it all.
My religion is obviously pretty, it's off on another path, right? So
oh my gosh, Robin, do you feel comfortable sharing your religious like journey with us? Because I find that also, from my perspective, super fascinating, but you don't have to.
Yeah, you know what? People have understandings and beliefs because of things that they've seen or they've heard. And, so I grew up, I went to a Baptist church growing up, and I wasn't super faith. My parents were not super religious. We would go kind of on holidays. Actually, my dad never went. My parents separated and then divorced, but my mom, we would go just on Christmas or an Easter, and like special days we would go. And then I got married, and I married into a very different faith. And I was not required to convert in order to get married. Actually, I embraced it on my own, Allison, because I felt like this was a new journey that was so exciting, and that it's been so amazing. Like, I can't tell you, like, I'm so grateful, and to be part of such a beautiful faith So I've converted to Muslim, and I'm actually Ismaili. And if you ever Google up Ismaili, you'll hear about the Aga Khan. He's our spiritual leader. He lives in France. He's very much, so we don't read out from the Quran at all. And he recites what they call farmans. And it's about doing good in the community, don't engage in bad things, educate your children. And it talks about a lot of good paths to take, and to stay strong within your faith, to give back to your community. And it's been an incredible journey, for someone who never grew up in the faith. I had to learn a 6-part prayer. It's in Arabic. And I don't know Arabic, right? And we don't speak Arabic in our family. Only thing we say is our prayer. And that's it. And that was pretty exciting to learn that. And then I was offered an appointment as similar to like a minister, like a lay minister. I was appointed in 2019 in charter and it's for a year, and you have to go like 5 times a year for special services, and it's just for women, and it's to empower women and say special blessings, and it's like a special day to support and empower and embrace our women within the community, our faith. And otherwise we all go together. But that was something pretty incredible for me in my journey of through going in the faith. And this was like 9-10 years after being converted. And people will look at me like, oh, you're like, the white girl. But then now they embraced me like, wow, here you are and you're here. And like, I don't see myself as any different. And that I feel like I've been a part of it my whole life. It's
so
an incredible
beautiful.
journey. Yeah. And we have like Olympic games for Ismailis. It's similar to the Olympics. It goes every 2 years. So in 2016, I got kind of parachuted. So I played competitive volleyball. I used to play at the World Police Games, and then I played in my school for study. And then I got parachuted to Dubai to play on the Canadian team for the Ismaili Games. And it was like, they were like,
wow,
we need you on our team. You played at this level. Like, we need you on the team. And then I was like the co-captain, and I knew nobody. And they were all like from all over Canada, but none of them were from Toronto. And then I was like, and they were all like ophthalmologists, psychologists. They were all like professional people. And I just sat there and I would listen to them. And they were like, surgeons, and they were all on this team. We were all on this volleyball team. And I'm like, I'm the police officer. And you know what I mean? And I just, they made me feel like super special. It was pretty exciting.
You just never know where your religious journey is going to take you.
Yeah. And there were a lot of other like people at the games that had converted, like a lot of other from different faiths, West Indies and a lot of like Caucasian people that had converted to the faith. And it was so remarkable. It was just like, and it's all about, pluralism, right? And embracing pluralism and embracing, everybody, and you're not going to be discriminated. So, and if you choose to take the path, then there you go.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you for sharing all that.
You're welcome. And I get to wear like a sari, and like I'm almost 5'9", so I can like wear it pretty good. Like I can't put it on, but I have to go to like an auntie or somebody, one of the Indian ladies. Hello, you need to help me put this on. So they like wrap me up and set me out on a path, like on.
Can you take it off?
It's hard. There's a lot of pins, and it's just a lot of fabric, right? Like if you've ever seen like an Indian outfit, it's very elaborate and very bright and very like full of life, and it's so intricate. And I have like a number of outfits that my husband has got me, and I've paired, and they're really beautiful. I love wearing them. It makes me feel very like, I don't know, it just makes me
goddess.
It makes you feel like a goddess, and you're just like, oh, it feels so, and it's so heavy. But anyway.
Ooh, I was
really blessed because just like she accepted that, like, it's how do I say this? Like people have these perceived beliefs and understandings from a certain faith, and they've seen certain things that have been very traumatizing. But our faith is not like that. It's not like that. It's very westernized. In fact, that we have so many places of worship in America, it is like unbelievable. And anytime we go away, Allison, to the United States, we always go and we put our hotel. We always book a hotel close to the place of worship. So because we want to be there and we go there, we're very regular. So, and we love to meet people.
And there's a lot of meditation in it also, which is so scientifically based.
Yeah, there's a lot of meditation. So this morning, the children, my husband and I, we woke up at 4 a.m. and we drove to our place of worship today, and we went to meditate. We meditate. We were about 4:30 to 5, and then lights come on and we say our prayers, and then we come back home about just before 6 a.m.
Wow.
So we do that in the morning. My husband goes 7 days a week. So he's a doctor. He's a coroner, actually. So he deals with dead bodies every day, and he also does addiction. So when you think about hope and trust, I extend it to my husband's work life too, about saving lives and helping people get off, drugs. So anyways, he prays every day. And then my kids, we go on we try to go, I work shift work. So I go when I can.
Wow. So there's so much there. That was so cool.
Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me share
it. A regular guest on our show.
I'm like, why did you bring her in 15 minutes till we stopped?
I know, I'm sorry. And I was like, like I said, I was at Home Depot, but I felt like I needed to.
No, I mean,
like,
why not
I
sooner?
needed to see you, Jes. And Allison, you're always a bright sunshine, but I needed to see Jes, and she's.
Well, you're gonna need to come back on with more than 15 minutes.
Yeah, there's so much about your personal story, Robin, that is just so fascinating, and we could just, make so many episodes out of it.
No, I thank you for what you're doing. I think it's really special and it's meaningful what you're doing and what you've created and helping people in your journey. Jessica and I used to work within our seniors, and I used to work a lot with hoarding. So Jess and I really connected on that level because she's, a clutter coach, and she, would help people with, organization. And so I always would feel very inspired. I used to do it a lot with my work as a police officer, breaking down, helping people and getting Red Cross, or, getting someone to get out of a really bad situation. But they don't see it as a bad situation. They just see it as this is their normal.
Yeah, this is my protection.
Yeah.
This is so
okay.
good.
Well,
Police officer on the go.
We are out of time, unfortunately, but Robin, we will schedule to have you back because, again, so much to talk about here. It's just, thank you for everything you do. You're amazing.
Yes. It's really, really important what you're doing and how you're doing it. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And that means a lot. That means a lot. Just given the climate and given what we're the world that we're living in right now. And, it's tough times, but you have to be this light for your people, right? Because people can get caught up in the noise and the negativity, and just, you got to say, you know what, you are making change every day. And, it's creating space for people and building trust.
Be the hope.
Building trust and building hope. Anyways.
Be the hope. That's what you have to do. Be the hope.
Can you bring Allison to Lake Placid?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Because
she can.
Allison lives somewhere. I don't know where she lives. Not
far?
anywhere.
I'm in Ohio.
I'm going to Ohio. I'm going to Ohio this week. I'm going to Akron.
Oh, it's a
Why?
little bit far for me.
Because we're driving to Florida.
Why?
Oh, remember I told
you stop at Allison's house on the way.
Actually, I'm going to see my very dear friends who I met at the World Police Games. She was appointed as the first female sheriff in Akron, Ohio, for the first woman in I don't know, ever. Wow. And she went against 3 guys, and she is kicking butt and taking names. I'm telling you, this woman is she is her name is Candy Fothery, and we're going to see them. And her husband's a retired deputy, and I I have like mad respect for them, and what she's doing down there is unbelievable. You should follow her on Instagram, actually.
I
So
will.
cool.
But come to Lake Placid, because that is our like magical place, Jess, right?
Yeah, we can go hiking. We could take Allison on a hike.
This sounds like
Into the
something that
cold
we're going to
rivers.
do. We're going to do this. We will do this.
Yes, be so fun.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
being
joining
here.
us. I love both of you so much. This is the highlight of my day today. Thank you, guys.
Me too. All right.
All right,
All right, guys.
Be the hope. That's the name of our episode today.
Yep, we got it. That's it.
Bye,
Be
guys.
the hope. Talk to you
Bye.
later. Love ya. Bye.
Love ya.
Bye.